We're live. I'm live. Is anybody going to be here? We have 0 eyeballs. Let me get the stream, the space pulled up. I got to find it. I'm a little late. I did some maintenance on my computer, so it logs me out of everything. So I log back in. Okay, I got to find it. That's not it. Bear with me, guys. I'll find this. Not pulling up the stuff automatically like it. Ooh. December 9th. Okay. Well, I just posted it yesterday, so probably overlooked it. Hayden's probably wonder where I am. Ooh. I can see myself on Twitter. That's funny. Okay. Come on, Prairie. Ah, okay. That didn't work either. Okay. Let me check my messages. We are live. He's live. You're live. There we go. PulseTGC. You know. Huh. You guys laughing at me? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't care. I mean, I do kind of care. I'm gonna get this going for you guys. Okay. There's like 45 people in here and I haven't made it yet. Zen, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I just finished 4 minutes of fiddle farting around with my phone trying to get the spaces going. Other than that, I'm doing good.
Good. You got all worked out?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I learned it repeatedly. Just don't do maintenance on my computer like an hour before spaces, because then I have to log into everything and find everything. You know, I should know by now not to do that. But maintenance is important because then what's that?
I said it's good to do maintenance though.
I know. Yeah, because when things start bogging down, I'm like, man, I'm going live here in a few hours. I better do some maintenance. Yeah, so that's done. We're live. We're doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, it was an average day at work, so not too busy, not too slow, so no complaints.
Cool. Yeah.
And then we're cooking this morning, and then there was that crash on the whole market, but it looks like it's recovering decently.
Do you have any idea what caused the temporary? I'm going to call it temporary. I'm going to call it little dip.
My friend was telling me that it was some news that Google has created a computer that could be possibly detrimental to Bitcoin. But then once people looked more into it, it doesn't seem that way. But you know how it is when some news comes out like that, people get scared. And
oh man,
it causes. I kind of think that stuff like that is just like a made up psyop to create huge wicks down on the chart to pretty much mess up people's longs and shorts.
Oh, you got it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it just recovers, and now you have more room to push upwards.
Yes. And even if it's not a strategic move, it's still an opportunity, for arbitrage, if that's the right term. So it's all good in the end. And it's just a little dip. But every time I see the market dip, I just wonder what kind of news is. Because I don't, the only news I get is off Twitter. I'm totally unplugged from all the major news channels. I can't even remember their names.
I don't watch the news.
There was $1.4 billion of liquidations today. So
you said 1.4 billion or 4 billion?
1.4 billion.
Yeah. Okay. I think I saw that mentioned in the Telegram chat too, over $1 billion. That's a big deal. Oof. Yeah. Well, crypto moves on. It's like I went to the landfill today, and I threw something in that I wasn't supposed to out of the back of my truck, and the dumpster that I was throwing it into, it had been emptied, so it was sitting in there at the very bottom, and I was trying to figure out a way to like climb in and pull it out because it was a valuable thing, and I was like, A, I'm gonna get in trouble and get a fine for climbing in because you're not supposed to, and B, I don't know how I'm gonna get out. So I was like, I guess that'll be a loss. And I was telling my wife over dinner, I says, well, that thing that I threw in the dumpster that I'm down 100% on, I'm far more sorrowful over that than the crypto that I hold being down 10% today, because I know I'll get the crypto back.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%.
Yeah. It's just dips are in the game.
Yeah, it seemed like the whole PulseChain market kind of just moved down together. There wasn't like any specific project that like hit a dip that we are connected to. I don't really care about like everything on the chain, but I look at like the things that we're connected to, and just if one thing dipped really hard, we obviously make a good chunk of value off of that thing dipping, and then when something runs, we make value off of that thing running. But it seemed like the whole dip was pretty even, and when it's even, we don't create a ton of value off of those even moves.
Yeah. The volume is still reasonably good on UFO and pTGC. I'm refreshing my screen. Well, it dipped by half, actually. It was 900,000 this morning. Now it's 409,000, which, let's be honest, that's a lot more than it was just a few weeks ago. And then pTGC this morning was 372,000, and now it's 244. And again, it was, you remember it being in the single digits, like 6,000 and 7,000, and now it's 244. So it's like a 30x above in volume.
Yeah. So the goal is to turn, yesterday's highs into today's lows, right? And just keep working in that direction.
Yes.
If we can kind of just keep that going on, if we can turn today's highs into tomorrow's lows, I think we'd be sitting pretty good here in the future.
You think?
Obviously that's like a lot faster track than it goes, but in the long term, that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to scroll back through some of the volume in my spreadsheet and see what I can kind of determine for what we had. I should mark the lows. Let's go back several months. Like in July, 10, 11, 20,000. The lowest I recorded was 4,000 on July 14th. That looks like the lowest I've ever recorded. So today was what did I say? 244. 244 divided by 4. It's a 61x from July, August, September, October, November. 5 months ago. 60x.
Yeah, there's one thing that we always have to keep in mind where, and we've studied this chart, is when we look at and maybe you want to pull it up on YouTube, Banana, is the volume chart for PulseChain in general, or PulseX in general, right? And we notice that our charts are actually directly correlated with the PulseX volume chart, liquidity chart. So as more liquidity comes on chain, our prices go up. And as more volume comes on chain, our prices go up, because as there's more volume, naturally that volume flows into our web, which then increases the price of our tokens, increases the value of our system.
Right. I'm happy to pull that up for you, but you said YouTube?
Or because you're streaming on YouTube, right?
Oh, right. Okay. You meant deck screener?
Well, I was more saying, like, for people who are watching on YouTube, if you pulled it up, they could. No, it was on PulseX, I'm pretty sure. When you go to info, where was it? Maybe it was on GoPulse. We do have the liquidity, and so right now on V1, the liquidity is at 500 mil. It's actually at almost all-time highs. A couple days ago was all-time highs as far as liquidity in V1.
Okay.
If you're on PulseX and you go to the info tab.
Okay. Let me just get there. I got to take this off my screen real quick.
Yeah, I'll keep just rambling. And then also we can look at the V1 volume. And the V1 volume is mostly all the farms, because all the farms are in V1 liquidity. So we can kind of see what's happening with like the main RH tickers as far as volume goes when we look at V1. Majority of like altcoins, like pTGC's V1, so there's some outliers, our main LP pool with pTGC, but most PRC20s are V2 because you earn rewards on V2. With V1, it goes 100% to the buy and burn.
Okay.
Which is why the farms are on there, I believe, is because you're getting paid an incentive token. So you're not, I don't believe you're making any of the standard liquidity pool fees when you're farming, but you are making those incentive token gains. But you can kind of see what's the volume with the main RH tickers there. But if we go to V2, this kind of shows you in the PRC20 world what's going on. And I kind of like to look at what's going on with the PRC20 world, because we're a PRC20. We're an alt on this chain.
True.
And the more volume that's happening with the PRC20s is the more volume going through our system. And the more liquidity that's happening with these PRC20s just shows that the PRC20 ecosystem is growing. Usually the big PRC20s are growing as well, which I like to put us under that category. You can see right now in the PRC20 or the V2 liquidity, which is majority alt token, we have $112 million in liquidity combined. And then in volume, we're hitting all-time highs.
Okay,
I don't know if you have that up.
I'm on PulseX. Can you walk me through where to find that?
Yeah, go to info.
Okay. Yeah.
Green, there's V1, V2, and then stable. So right now I'm on V2.
Do I need this? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm on. Okay, you're on V2. Let me go to V2. You guys can tell I don't spend much time on PulseX.com. Perhaps I should. Okay. Do we need to search for pTGC?
No, I'm just looking at the generic total liquidity and volume. It should just be right there.
Yep, it's 112 million in liquidity. 17 million 24-hour volume.
Correct. And if you look, that's pretty much, it could be yesterday. I don't know where this high wick is, if it's yesterday or today, but we are at really nice volume levels for V2 liquidity, V2 liquidity pools. It looks like we wicked up yesterday to 40 million.
Over 40 million. It was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really good to see the volume picking up on chain. You know, stuff is going on. There's narratives. There's money moving. And the nice thing from our system, like one of the sayings I heard a long time ago was, when there's money moving, you want to find a way to get in between it, right? And I think our system is literally like an on-chain representation of that, because volume on-chain is money moving, and then we found a way to put a fee in between that money moving to go back to our holders and our token itself. And that's like one of the most simple sayings that's been around forever. So if you see money moving in anything, like, you know, the world changes constantly. If you see something changing in the world, you see money moving between that changing environment, you want to get in between that.
Wow.
Crypto in general is the best example of it, right?
What is now?
Crypto.
Yep.
Like, that's why we're all here. We see a unique scenario where we believe lots of money is currently moving around right here and will move into this direction in the near future. We're obviously taking that bet. So everyone that is in the space and in crypto is kind of living by this without even knowing. But when you see money moving, especially moving in a direction, you want to find a way to get in between that money. You want to find a way to become part of that. And, you know, pTGC and UFO are kind of built on just that simple saying right there, because there's money moving all throughout the day, all on PulseX, and we put a fee in between that, and that fee goes back to our holders and our ecosystem, which is nice. Because those sayings, like, when you look at like basic sayings like that, like, they weren't talking about crypto, right? They're talking about like standard finance and business, but it's always good to kind of relate back to standard finance and business, because it all relates. You know, we're kind of dealing with a different product now, but it's so similar in so many ways.
Indeed. It's finance. Just the finance of the digital age. And I don't want the audience to think that, you know, Hayden and I, or Zen and I, need to have a conversation, you know, an ongoing conversation. You guys can raise your hand, you know, jump in, make your comments, ask any questions like I'm about to ask. Do you see any hands raised, Zen?
No hands are raised. We do have a couple speakers up, so if any of you guys just want to add to the conversation or ask a question, feel free to.
So back in the beginning, like when I got into pTGC, I remember Coach was showing me transactions, and they were very. He was showing me the bots, and they were making like these $3, $5, $10 transactions. And then over the weekend, somebody in the chat was like, "Hey, are these big transactions bots?" And everybody's like, "Well, yeah." And I was like, "Well, what?" And I confirmed it in the chat, and I think it was you that replied, "Yeah, those are bot transactions." So can you kind of go into why we are seeing much larger bot transactions?
Yeah, no problem. So as we've evolved over the last year, you know, and as we evolve into the future of this ecosystem, we believe PulseChain is going to be successful. We believe we're going to be successful. And then also we have automated systems in our protocol that obviously increase our liquidity pool size. So our liquidity pool size can increase in pretty much 3 ways: by humans adding liquidity, or our smart contracts adding liquidity; by our price of our tokens going up, pTGC and UFO, via the buy and burns or humans buying, either one; or by our connected assets going up. And really, that's one of the best ways for our liquidity webs to grow, because they grow in an even format. So if PulseChain goes up 10x, and let's say PulseChain was our only liquidity pool for example purposes. Well, now our liquidity pool has increased 10x because it's all ratio based, it's symmetrical. So let's, for an example, say UFO's liquidity pool is 30 million right now, which it's around there. If the PulseChain network in average does a 30x, like our connected LP pools, well, our liquidity pools, if no one's added and no one's taken out liquidity, is now up. Or if PulseChain does a 10x and we do a 10x, is where I'm getting at. So instead of our liquidity web being 30 million, it would be 300 million. And then going back to your question, like, why are we seeing bigger transactions going now? Well, now when there's a price difference, a threshold that a market maker is going to fix, they aren't fixing a $30 million liquidity web. They will be forced to be fixing a $300 million liquidity web. Or, you know, like you said, when you first got in, let's say it was a $5 million liquidity web compared to a $30 million liquidity web. The bigger the liquidity web gets, the more money that the arbitrage bot or the market maker will have to move to fix the price. And obviously we earn money off of the amount that they're moving. So the more money they need to move, the more value the ecosystem gains, which then increases the price of the ecosystem, pays more APY to our holders, makes the system overall stronger. You know, we've seen PulseChain increase in price recently from, I like to say, the lows, you know, 0.0000 like 4 to now it's like 0.00008. You know, we're still not at SAC rate yet, so it's nothing really to cheer about, but we're moving up. And as the PulseChain ecosystem moves up, our liquidity grows naturally, along with our price growing naturally, etc. And we're going to start seeing bigger bot transactions. You know, I actually don't see a reason why in the future we wouldn't see arbitrage bots and market makers moving $50,000 to $100,000 transactions, because our liquidity pools are going to be so big they will have to move that amount to fix the price, which is just awesome, because when they move that value in a normal system, they're doing it free of charge. So they're making 100% of the profits besides the small DEX fee. But with our system here, if they want to use our pools, they have to pay the fee accordingly. And that fee goes back to our ecosystem.
So like back when I discovered pTGC and I was looking at those $5 transactions, I was like, well, this is not really exciting right now. You know, I think it was like 5 cents that the bot was paying. Maybe it's 50. I think it's 50 cents on $5. 50 cents that the bot's paying. Now it would actually be more like $1, because he's got to buy $5 worth and then sell $10 worth. And I could kind of picture where we're at now.
Well, you have to keep in mind, like, so when you're seeing these $15,000 market maker moves, that was because
you're gonna have to rewind. Maybe you got a phone.
Banana just got a phone call. That's it.
oh, okay.
Yeah, my internet glitched out. I'm back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so what I was saying was, like, that exact moment you're referring to, and we're
Guys, can you hear me on YouTube? Somebody tell me if you can hear me. my computer or... Okay, cool. Thank you, Snowflake. I can't hear anything on the space. I think I'm going to leave and come back. Thanks, Derek. I had issues, yeah. Couldn't hear the speakers. People couldn't hear me speak. Hey, this is new. Couldn't hear the speakers. I don't know if people can hear me, but it has happened. Sorry, guys. Join the space.
Of a bot moving money somewhere after that. So there's still going to be tiny ones. I think even as we become a huge project with, let's say, $300 million in liquidity, the small transactions will still be there. There's just tons of them, ultimately.
I'm back. I don't
Did
know.
you get?
I dropped
Did you
out.
get the permission to use that phrase from Coach X?
What phrase?
When there is an action, there is a reaction.
What concept?
Yeah, I might have been the one that thought of that phrase.
No. Let's not start this. Let's not start this.
Why not? Let's have fun. Hey guys, I was pretty close predicting, PTGC to Pulse. I thought it would be probably early September, so I was a little bit off. It was, I think, the end of August, 1-to-1. But I did not expect UFO to be 1-to-1 until probably January with PLS. But it was last night or this morning, I saw there was 1.3 PLS for one UFO. So congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. One thing I think a lot of people don't realize about the 1-to-1 with UFO to PulseChain compared to the 1-to-1 with pTGC to PulseChain is there's 3 times more supply with UFO than there is with pTGC. pTGC as well as it happening pretty fast.
Well, that just
And
makes
nothing is cranking up more PLS for me than the UFO pools.
Oh yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Every day I look, it's just like another 100,000, 200,000 more PLS.
I cleared out my PLS pools like it might have been last Thursday, and I checked it this morning or this afternoon actually, and I couldn't believe it. I was just so happy. It's very impressive, but it's all due to the volume that we've been seeing. I mean, on Saturday morning, it was $2 million in 24-hour volume. Sunday morning, it was 1.5-ish million dollars, and on UFO alone.
Yeah, I'd say they've been pretty good lately. For anyone listening, keep in mind that as time goes on, you get paid out pretty much based on your UFO shares, and it does become more expensive if the price of UFO keeps ratcheting up to get these UFO shares. Because the only way you can get UFO shares is by providing LP, and that means you have to provide both sides of the liquidity pool. Atropa saved PulseChain, I think I can't see the rest of your name, but I'm trying to remember. Did you lock in your UFO share rate somewhat early, or was that recent that you created that LP?
No, I mean, I did it pretty early, but I just keep adding, every couple of weeks or whatever, when I get some funds, I just keep adding or whatever I earn from the UFO, some of it I turn into more UFO. The only problem is that UFO price just keeps going up, that Like I just get less and less for the same amount of PLS. That's the problem. That's what's just hurting me, like it hurts my soul that I'm just getting less and less UFO, but I just keep doing it, and I get a little bit more of pTGC with that, whatever I earn from those pools, plus I'm earning from something else, some hacks, and if I accumulated, let's say like 1,000 hexes, then I just throw it back in the pool, just keep adding to that pool. So, and some of the pools also I add to the PLS UFO pool. Yeah, it's just paying off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you just hold any as well?
Hold what?
Just UFO? Like, just do you hold any, or do you LP at all? If you don't mind.
I do all of it except for I don't have any ink, and obviously I'm not pairing pTGC with UFO. But I got hex, both hexes, PLSX, and PLS and die. Obviously PLS is the largest from what I got. And yeah, but I got more UFO just sitting alone,
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that was my question. Because really, the thing that's really outperformed was just holding UFO and just earning the APY dripping right into your wallet, because the UFO that you've earned has been doing X's as well. So, let's say you earned $10 the first day, in PLS, and you earned $10 in UFO the first day you're in. Well, if UFO did a 20x, well, that $10 was actually $200 in today's price if you held on to it. Where PulseChain, I think at that point only did a, let's say a 3x from that point. So that would have only been $30. So the power of like the APY on just holding, doing X's, has actually been pretty powerful for the ecosystem. And just for the holders as well, which is good.
So in turn, I guess the people providing LP would have to flip their
75% that's in the pool.
They'd have to flip their PLS into one of the assets in order to realize the gains.
Yeah, and the past performance is no guarantee of the future. But yes, if you're providing LP and you turn that PLS right back into UFO, you obviously would have been up more on that than just holding the PLS. But
so, that's what I was saying, that whatever PLS I earn, most of it goes to buying more UFO. And that's what I was saying, that it's just hurting me that each week or whatever, I can only buy less and less UFO because the price goes up, But yeah, I also need some PLS for gas and stuff. That's why I'm doing it.
yeah, that's awesome.
Well, there must be some new people in the space that have a question.
I did bring someone up. I can't see your full name, but starts with a G. If you have a question, feel free to just shoot it out there. If you just want to come up and listen, that's cool too. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Banana, if you want, would you want to run through, see if there's any tweets in the last day that are interesting? And if not, we'll just move into the next segment.
Sure. Let's do it. Let's see. Today is December 9th. We streamed. The last time I streamed was the 7th. So I got my dates right. Okay. Well, this is yesterday when we reached parity. Congratulations to all new and old grays. UFO just hit parity with PLS. We are currently closing in on $30 million in LP. And over the last 3 days, we've seen large $100,000 buys come in every day, whales buying. This one-to-one parity with PLS is a great accomplishment. But for us, it's just a milestone. Nothing stops here. UFO is just warming up its anti-gravity and is ready for takeoff. If you're looking to learn more, please join the Telegram group and ask questions. Abduction in process. Okay, and there's a little PS here. When pTGC hit one-to-one with PLS, it started running up very fast. Let's see if something similar happens here. See the images below. So yeah, that would be cool. I mean, if we can handle it. Can we handle any more green candles?
Yeah, I think it, in general, just depends on if the market in general starts moving up from here. We usually amplify that movement along with us moving up as well, just due to our tokenomics and people getting onboarded, etc. But yeah, I just wanted to show, it took a little bit for pTGC to hit that one-to-one. And once it hit that one-to-one with Pulse, it really started moving from there. So today was our first day after one-to-one. We'll see if it starts moving up, with UFO rapidly from here. I think it does depend on the market a little bit. We are in a bull market, so I'd say that, we have some good odds in our favor.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. I mean, it could be more UFOs move now after reaching parity could be more exaggerated than pTGCs because just to where we are in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another post. A lot of interesting developments are happening with PulseChain. RH tokens are reaching higher highs. Narratives and speculations seem to be turning into reality. We talked about a lot about that, especially with PDI. pTGC and UFO have an ecosystem that feature a unique PulseChain exclusive system that includes narrative and meme themes, tons of them, DeFi capabilities, deflationary mechanics, high APY, liquidity, and actual value generating utility that operates without human interaction. In the last 24 hours, the UFO system has autonomously generated $124,000. And you can see the distribution in the image below. And here it is. $62,000 to LP providers, $21,000 to buy and burn UFO tokens, $21,000 to UFO holders in rewards, $21,000 to buy and burn pTGC. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think that tweet in general just reminds at least me, and I think probably everyone listening, what kind of opportunity RH gave us here on PulseChain. He really gave us like the ultimate setup for a perfect playground for ecosystems to thrive, like pTGC and UFO, for narratives to thrive, like PDI, and then obviously a great opportunity for his own token, like Hex. One thing that he didn't have on Ethereum, but eHex is the ability to bond to Ethereum at the very bottom of Ethereum, since Ethereum was already out for a few years prior than Hex. But by everything launching at once here on PulseChain, we got the DEX token, we got the gas token, we got the store of value. And then we also have real DeFi protocols being launched at the very bottom of the blockchain, and then everything working together in the same direction. I'm really looking forward to see what that outcome is, because it just hasn't happened on any other blockchain. It's just super unique on its own that we have all these real DeFi protocols actually being built and fully built at the bottom of the blockchain's launch. And yeah, we'll just see how all these things multiplying up together what it can really do. And that's not even to mention, what success I think RH will have just on his own. So
agreed. So last week, I'm pretty sure it was on Monday, we highlighted that the fee revenue, the fee distribution for pTGC and UFO, I think was a combined $504,000 or $505,000. Well, in the previous 7 days, it was $516,000. So it ticked up just a fuzz. So let's review that real quick. In pTGC, sent to the Dow for LP ads and supply reduction, $55,000. Paid to holders in the form of reflections. And this is cumulative over the last 7 days. Paid to holders and reflections, $27,500. Paid to stakers, $27,500. Burning pTGC, $14,000. And adding to LP, $14,000. And then for UFO, paid to LP providers, $190,000. Paid to holders, $63,000. Burning UFO and burning pTGC both $63,000. We're not even at first gear yet with PulseChain, still below SAC rate, which is just like hyper bullish. I mean, it's like, remember before the fork, before RH forked and made the Pulse network, we would always remind ourselves, oh, when we get free copies over on Pulse network. You know, it was always a thing. Oh, remember we're going to get, oh yeah, I forgot, we get free copies over on Pulse network. And now it's, oh yeah, Pulse is still below SAC rate. It's still below SAC rate.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see pTGC and UFO running as well as it is before SAC rate, because that tells me that once PulseChain itself, I don't consider PulseChain itself not successful as of right now. I actually think it's been really successful. It's been running 100% flawlessly since its launch. You can't really even ask for much more than that. But let's say if the price does start to go up, which I believe it will, that obviously amplifies our system so much. And we always say we're not even in first year. I look at when PulseChain finally passes SAC rate, literally the sacrifice price, that's first year. Well, then what's second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year? It would get really, really interesting because not only will our machine be running at such a high value generating speed, but we're also going to be catching eyes because we'll have some of the largest liquidity pools in all of crypto, not just here on PulseChain. Literally all of the biggest projects on ETH will not even have as big of liquidity pools as us on their dexes. We'll be up there with the stable coins and stuff like that as far as dexes. I don't really know all their liquidities on centralized exchanges, but we're going to be massive. And that's, obviously thanks to RH letting us accumulate these great products at the bottom.
After all that I've seen and heard and seen come to pass, I believe that. I do. I look forward to seeing it, but I believe that it's going to happen. I'm excited for it. Remember that Lamborghini that we saw going down the racetrack, and it went up over 200 miles an hour or something like that. Some crazy thing. It was just smoking on down the drag strip or whatever it was. That's going to be pTGC and UFO on some peak days at some point in this bull cycle. It's just going to be impressing everybody, anybody that's in the driver's seat and everybody in the stands. It's going to happen. But I'm happy for the rest of the time for that Lamborghini to be cruising at 150 miles an hour or 125. That's still exhilarating.
Yeah, you're talking about, at the peak of the bull market, obviously there's going to be tons of volatility. We'll be at a high, which will make our liquidity at a high, which in turn will make prices and APY at a high. But markets do go up and down. That's guaranteed. And there will be a cool-off period. There's a cool-off period with everything. But where does that cool-off period land? That cool-off period doesn't necessarily need to land back at zero, back at dead stop, not even in first year. It can land at third year, right?
Yes. I remember back when I first started in this ecosystem, I was impressed, honestly, because I can see a little bit into the future. I was impressed with 30 cents in a day. And I'd tell my buddies and my non-crypto friends, and they were like, oh, whatever. I was like, oh, you guys have no idea. this 30 cents is going to turn into I don't know what. And then it ended up being like, and I was always joking about, man, one day I'll be able to buy a coffee with my yield from pTGC. And that happened. And then it was coffee for the family. And it's like it would kind of go up and come back. And now it's like coffee for the family every day, man.
Yeah, it always goes back to we come for the X's and then we stay for the APY. If you come for the X's and we can get, this ecosystem to do a bunch of X's, well, not only does the price of your assets, your value in the ecosystem do those X's, well, now you have that much more value working for you. And now you're earning APY on that larger dollar amount. So that 10% APY that you said, let's say you put in $1,000, that's 10% on $1,000 is not that awesome. It's nothing to really brag about. But most people are in crypto not just for the APY. They're in it for the X's, let's be frank. But if they do 100X or 1,000X, well, then they're possibly turning $10,000 into $1 million or $10 million. And 10% on $10 million obviously is $1 million a year. Now, the 10% APY starts to become impressive.
Right. Right. And the 30 cents, the 50 cents that I was picking up daily back, months and months ago has done, I don't know how many X's. So it's no longer 50 cents. It's a matter of, it's probably somewhere around $10. So I was earning 50 cents then that is now worth $10. So I was actually earning a couple of coffees at the time and didn't realize it.
Yeah, if you weren't spending it on the coffee,
Yeah.
if you're compounding it.
Yes, and I do. I do.
Hey, I got a quick question for you guys. When you how you can leave your stake in or your lock in after it's done 90 days out, can you do the same for the 10-year locks?
I think.
Yeah,
so.
there's no time limit on how long you keep those in there. You can keep them in there for as long as PulseChain is alive. We hope is pretty much forever. You just always will be in the tier that you locked in when you created it.
That's awesome. And then do we know a percentage of what we burn per day on each token? I don't know if you guys went over that. Like an average?
We have it on, I don't know if it's the average. I did figure it out like a month ago. I went back to 6 months, and because I don't like really counting the first 6 months because obviously the token price was way lower. And as the price is lower, it's way easier to burn because each token was so cheap. That's like one benefit of PulseX being really low is even though volume's been low, the price has been low. So we've actually been able to burn a decent amount of PulseX in these low volume times of PulseChain. So it was pretty similar with pTGC, but I didn't calculate it with UFO. But if we go on to the look into pTGC website, we can see what we've burnt like today and what that position is. I can divide out just what we've burnt currently into the amount of days that the ecosystem's been alive, which is a pretty easy way to figure that out. Like I know pTGC is at 11% of its supply bought and burnt, and UFO is at 7%. I could run the numbers real quick.
And when was UFO released?
May 2nd, I believe. Yeah, UFO is like pretty much, as of right now, half the age of pTGC.
In a few years, they'll be basically the same age.
Do you know any of those numbers, Banana? I remember I did the math for how many tokens we're burning a day for pTGC on average. I just don't remember it.
Okay.
Did you happen to write them down?
Oh, I have them for November, October, and September.
It's all good. I was just kind of curious if you had an idea offhand, an average.
I did, but my short-term memory loss kicks in all the time.
I hear that.
Well, I can give you
I'll figure it out though, and I'll put it in the chat so
There
you
you go.
have it.
the last 3 month. The 3 month average, November, October, and September was 14.1.
Banana might have dropped. Banana, just so you know, your mic's muted.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. The 3 month average, November, October, and September, is 14.1 million burned for pTGC
And that's a day.
per. Hold up. Per day, yes, 14.1 million per day.
Wow.
And then average UFO tokens burned per day, same time frame, November, October, September. Average is 76.7 million. Yeah.
And what's the value? Do you have PulseX still in front of you? I had to walk out of my computer room because my son's making a little bit of noise.
Okay. Yeah, I do have PulseX pulled up.
Do you want to just pull up what the value of that is on average per day, since we have both those numbers?
I'll just pop it into Dex Screener. If that works. 14. You want the value?
Yeah, I forgot Dex Screener had that. I'm not a Dex Screener guy.
14.1 million. 14.1 million pTGC is worth $6,800. Is that right? That is correct. Today. Okay, yeah, because back then we were burning 14.1, but it wasn't worth 6.8, $6,800. It was worth a lot less.
Yeah, that's the nice thing is what we're burning in the old days when it's cheaper. Obviously, those tokens become worth more. Like, even if you look at what we've bought and burnt to date, what that value is.
Let's do it. Let's do that. I have never even thought of that. Hold up, guys.
It's on.
I've got.
Look into pTGC.
Oh, okay, true. I've got the number though on my clipboard. All I have to do is go to Dex Screener. Hold on, I'll paste it here. We'll see how much we burned in dollars today. $18.6 million that this system has burned of its own token in 13 months.
And then UFO, I have the number here if you don't want to type it in.
Sure, the average burn.
Oh, no, let's do the average burn. Do that one real quick. I have the total dollar amount.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. Average UFO burned was 76.7 million. We'll pop that into Dex Screener. Let's see how much that is. So I should look. So how much was pTGC burned total, the dollar amount? Do you remember?
The total amount per day or the total amount ever since
ever
Genesis? 18,600,000.
Okay, 18 million. We'll see how much UFO is burned. Let's see, 76.7. Hold up, guys. 70. That's 76 million. No, we got to be talking billions here of tokens burned. Oh, this is average per. Oh, I'm sorry. I mixed up. What's the total tokens burned for UFO?
71,416,000,000.
$6 million.
Yeah. And what was the dollar amount we're burning a day?
Per
Did you get
day.
that? I think you said it was like 70 million we're burning a day or something like that on average.
Well, tokens is 76.7 million tokens.
Per day?
Yes.
What is the dollar value of that per day on average?
Sure, hold on. $6,500.
Yeah, pretty even.
Yeah. How'd that work out, man? It's almost like planned it that way.
Yeah.
I wonder if these tokens, man, if these tokens ever reach parity in price, somebody's got to screenshot it. That's going to be cool. I mean, I just wonder if they'll ever run like neck and neck for a period of time in price. You know, I just wonder. Well, does anybody have any questions, comments? Are there any new people in? I know there's been some new people in the chat over the last weeks. Our adoption has been pretty substantial. We added 24 new pTGC holders yesterday, 72 on Saturday, 46 on Friday. It's like almost off the charts. I think the average for November was 19 per day. No, I'm sorry. The average for October was 19 a day. The average for November was 30 a day. Let's see what we're doing for December. Average 34. So this thing's snowballing. pTGC is snowballing.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how many new. It's kind of hard, you know. I'd be interested to see how many new users are coming to PulseChain a day, because I still think that's one of the things we're struggling with is getting new users over to PulseChain. I do think there's some fun narratives happening over here right now, so that's helping with bringing people over to PulseChain. I do feel a lot of time people go to a new chain for a token on the chain, not necessarily for the chain itself. I think back to like when I went on to BNB or even I won't say PulseChain, but I'm here because of a token. I'm here because of Hex. So it's not the best example, but I guess BNB back in the day. I went specifically to BNB because I was told about a project, a token on that blockchain. I wasn't actually really going there for BNB itself. So I do think it will be somewhat similar as far as the onboarding process to PulseChain. I don't see why it wouldn't. We do have a couple other levers to play with because of RH being the founder and him also having 4 of his own tokens on this chain. But I do think pTGC and UFO can be great onboarding tools for the blockchain in general, because I do think a lot of people come to chains for the PRC20s or for the tokens built on the chain because they're such small glasses. And when they're small glasses, they can do a bunch of X's.
Yep.
And let's be honest, that's the majority of what people are chasing around. So,
yeah. And that's what that's what we're here for. We're here for gains. No question.
Well, let me ask you this, since we're talking about onboarding. Is there on the Gray site, is there like a link to the bridge or any of that stuff? Like something to where if we sent somebody to the website, they could get their way in from ETH? Like maybe some type of explanation or...
We have a write-up that's a Word doc at the bottom of the website, and it's a Word doc that we created like the first month of pTGC being out, and it's step-by-step how to go from pretty much a no coiner all the way to getting onto PulseChain and buying pTGC. The honest truth is, for a no coiner to do that on his own is probably impossible. Like, they would need help, right?
Listen, I onboarded a kid today, and he was shaking and sweating, sending the money off of Coinbase. So it's like, I forgot what that felt like. So if there was some easy way we could get people in via the website, that would be. And I know it doesn't get much easier, but maybe a link to the bridge, or maybe we figure out how to make that easier for somebody.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Definitely some actual links where it walks them through step by step, and it's that link there when they hit the step would probably go a long ways.
Absolutely.
I was literally, it's funny you said that, because one of my employees was asking about getting onto PulseChain, getting into crypto, and I told him I'd help him, and told him, hey, get a brand new laptop and so on and so forth. And the first step I gave him was to buy some Ethereum on Coinbase. This is how I onboard people. I know everyone does it differently, but I told him, hey, get some Ethereum on Coinbase. There's going to be a delay to it, so it's going to probably hold your money for 7 days. Once that 7 days is complete, you can see if it's available for transfer. Once it's available for transfer, hit me up, come over, and I'll walk you through the next step, because a lot of these people cannot do this on their own. Even if you give them that Word document, like they don't even, when we write that stuff, we're literally talking in like a completely different language, so they don't even know what they're reading. So
it's scary. Yeah. Have you guys used Change now or any of that stuff?
I went through it with one of my onboards because someone recommended to me, and they said that you could there's no delay or anything like that, and I got them signed up, and then it was like, okay, your account's under review. We'll get back to you soon. So it hit that same kind of roadblock where they kind of need to do something on their own before they bring it to me. But back to the story is, so I told him to do that, and he said, okay, I'm ready. I'll come over. And then he came over, and he never even bought the Ethereum or anything. So all we got to was buying the Ethereum, and then it put the 7-day delay on it. So I didn't even get a chance to onboard him. But when we were literally just buying the small amount of crypto, it wasn't a big onboard. I just was trying to help him. He was shaking during the process.
Yeah, and even if somebody wants to try it out, and let's say send $250, $500, $1,000, whatever it is, right? It was $53 in gas today.
Yeah.
This dude ate $53 in gas, and I tried to send a test transaction for him just to get him used to doing that, and it never came, and he's freaking out, and it was it literally all went to gas, and that transaction never came through. It was crazy. So I was just wondering if maybe Change Now or something like that, if we link to that, just quicker and cheaper, and maybe just cut one step out of it,
Yeah, if there is a better way, I would be definitely willing to kind of even change my onboarding process. Really, the only reason I do it that way is that's how I've done it for the last 5 years. So I'm comfortable doing it that way. But yeah, if there's a simpler way, I need to be pushing my onboards in that direction, because I have onboards that I've onboarded 4 separate times. I've walked them through the steps 4 separate times because they've slowly DCA'd in, and they still need me to walk them through every single step.
Of course,
even though we've done it 4 times. Yeah.
Or even if somebody's used OX Coast, I'd love to hear how that process works. Somebody in here has done it.
I'm curious to hear about that too, because I'm getting my banking set up, and I'm getting my OX Coast set up after that. And that's probably the route. That's the route I've fleshed out to go. So I'm curious to hear if anybody has an experience with that, with them.
It looks like Mikey wants to speak.
Hey, Mikey, you're muted.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sir.
hear you.
All right. I just wanted to jump in because I know of a little workaround if you're onboarding people from Coinbase to get them onto PulseChain. I don't onboard them into Ethereum because of the gas fees. I take them to send from Coinbase to Polygon, and then bridge, and then bridge from Polygon to a PulseChain.
Ooh,
The fees are a lot cheaper.
I like that.
And what's the bridge that you used from Polygon? Is it PulseSwap or what is it?
What's it called now? It's the one that Power City have.
Say that again. It's the one what?
The Power City.
Oh, Power City. Yeah, I've never used that one to be honest. Yeah, the reason I probably go the Ethereum route is honestly just because of its being RH's bridge. But yeah, it's definitely costly. So that's probably a good thing to look into is using a different chain.
Yeah, and another one of my onboards, he uses AVAX. You go from Coinbase to AVAX. Something I've never done, but that's how he gets in, and it's even cheaper, I think. I mean, does change now go from Polygon to Pulse? I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't even know. I haven't done tried a bunch of different ways of doing it. I've looked into them and started the process, but I always end up just going back to the system I know.
Yeah, because they really whip you when you go to Ethereum, especially if they're just putting in $1,000, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's really hard for it on board when they're putting in only $1,000, and by the time you end up on PulseChain, especially in pTGC and UFO, which are both fee-based tokens alone, they're already down on a bad day $200.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't understand it either. They don't understand it. You'll be looking at them and being like, "Oh yeah, this is just part of it." There's gas fees when you hit Ethereum, and then there's gas, and obviously Coinbase isn't doing that service for free, and they're looking at you like, "I what? Just gave up $200?" Because obviously someone you're onboarding with only $1,000 isn't, got tons of extra money, so they're kind of feeling it.
Yeah.
And one other thing, an onboarder, I got into Coinbase, and like you said, got him to swap into Ethereum, buy his Ethereum on Coinbase, and we had to wait, I think, a week, and then they restricted his account, and it's been restricted for months, and they don't tell you why.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, we've no idea why. We keep sending tickets, and they just come back with the generic thing. Your account's restricted. They can't tell us why or if it's going to be lifted. So in the end, he gave up, and I think he just bought Shiba on Coinbase and just left it on a bit of ETH and just left it there.
Yeah.
So he's missing out. He couldn't physically get to PulseChain because I was trying to get him into BDI and pTGC UFO.
Yeah, and obviously if he had an experience like that his first time, it's a pretty hard sell again to get him to try anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing those other ways of, that you've had good luck getting people across for a good deal.
Yeah, but like your man says, it's not easy. It's not easy getting people in, and it's a real.
I got a buddy telling me right now you can send USDC from Coinbase to your wallet and then bridge the USDC with no fee.
I think it's no fee just on the Coinbase side.
Mm-hmm. But the bridge in is free, right?
Free. The bridge fee is free. That's correct, but you still will have to pay the gas fees on Ethereum. And this is the hard part: is if you're onboarding someone brand new and you have them buy USDC, and then you send that USDC to their MetaMask wallet, they have no ETH to do the next transaction. it works when you already have some gas, but if you don't have gas, you then are stuck.
Hey guys, could I jump in on this for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way that I bridged all of my funds in to buy pTGC, because I literally I'd never heard of PulseChain before. And then, I heard about pTGC. I was like, man, I got to get in on this, right? So then I watched a bunch of videos and found SparkSwap. And it was really good because from Coinbase, you can send USDC on the Arbitrage network to your EVM wallet. And then on SparkSwap, you can swap that straight to Pulse on the PulseChain network. And so your total fees from Coinbase all the way to PulseChain is like $5 or $8.
Does SparkSwap let you swap like decent amounts of value, or is it only small amounts of value?
I mean, I was doing 4 figures.
Okay.
So, I think $5,000 at a time. So it was decent.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I can speak on this too a little bit. There's the crypto.com route using Arbitrum through the sparkswap.io bridge. And then another way for onboarding small amounts, if you're doing sub $1,000 and you don't want to go to ETH fees, you'll have to go and VPN out of the US. I don't know why Wallet of Satoshi and Pulse Lightning Network can't be used here, but I would say under $1,000, you're going to pay a total of between $5 and $8 in fees or so. But first, you're going to use cashapp.com or Cash App on your phone and buy Bitcoin. It automatically converts over to the Lightning Network side. You just send that to Wallet of Satoshi and then use the Pulse LN bridge. And it's pretty instantaneous. Those guys are pretty helpful too if you ever need help over in their Telegram. But that's only happened like once in like a year and a half I've ever had to contact them. So pretty flawless there.
I've never even heard of that route, to be honest with you. Is there any good videos on that?
Yeah, I think they were officially the first outside of Richard's Bridge. They were the first ones, and they've been up and functioning this whole time.
Yeah, I've honestly never even heard of that route.
I can usually go from my bank account onto PulseChain in less than 5 minutes. It's pretty quick. The bridge itself is one of those where it does it in 5 seconds. So
nice.
Sorry to jump in, guys, but could you just run that directive again? I'll just try to make an infographic or something to share with everybody when I'm finished.
Sure. Cash App to Wallet of Satoshi. You'll have to use a VPN to VPN outside of the continental US, but a Wallet of Satoshi, and then from there you're going to go to Pulse LN. Let me get the website for you. It is pulseln.com. So pulselightningnetwork.com, pulseln.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. So let me see if I got the route right. You said bank account to Cash App, from Cash App to Wallet of Satoshi to get Bitcoin on the Lightning Network, then from Bitcoin Lightning Network over to Pulse LN, and you're into PulseChain.
Yep. Right in the PulseChain, yep. Nice thing, a little benefit is their token's still fairly cheap. If you hold 10,000, I think you get a 15% discount or 15% increase on your Pulse. 25,000 is like 20% increase on your Pulse when converted over.
If you hold 15,000 of their token, you said?
Yeah, I think it's it's you'll see the breakdown. It's in their facts section on their website.
Okay.
It's the same thing that Old Glory Bank does with the 0x Coast, which that's a decent ramp too. If you talk with those guys, if you ever have an issue, but if you hold the wait token, you get a discount when you're on ramping and off ramping. Last I checked, it was only $100 or a couple $100 to pretty much lose like 4%, or take it down to 1% from 4% on the fees for Old Glory.
It's funny when you have these coins in your wallet, you just forget what they do. Have weight.
They help out quite a bit. Has anybody had much experience going the Old Glory route, coming onto PulseChain, or going off? I personally haven't used it yet.
I haven't either, but I'm actually in the process of getting my accounts switched over to that bank. So I can let you know.
Oh, you're talking that bank account that you have to set up with 0x Coast?
Well, it's the bank. Old Glory is the bank that OX Coast recommends. Yeah. And they apparently they have a relationship, which is why I'm choosing them.
Yeah.
If I remember right, they said they have a 5-year partnership. I think they have a guaranteed partnership to like 2029 or 2030 with them. Okay. So it's a guaranteed on ramp for a while.
Yeah. I'm in the Caribbean, right? I onboard people on a weekly basis, and it is a headache from where we are because one, outside of our personal restrictions and not having our own payment processors to clear it and clearance houses, all that stuff. Most times what I found is I'd have to have somebody on you guys end in the States or in Canada to help with those processes, sending the cash over. But I finally have something like Zelle to use. We don't have Cash App here in Jamaica officially. We don't have Zelle here either officially. So I'm on a recorded platform, so I'm trying to be as careful as I can talking about some of this stuff. But in onboarding, what I found is the Ethereum route is always going to be expensive as we go further. There's a route as well through Binance. Go again? Somebody was saying something a while ago. Go ahead.
I think he didn't know he wasn't muted, so just keep going.
Okay, yeah. There's a route to get onto PulseChain too through Binance. Somebody just mentioned the Polygon route, which I was happy that somebody mentioned that as well. We're just going to have to continue exploring more and more affordable ways from the pre-existing EVMs that are out there, or other means of operating in an EVM environment. So to get into PulseChain, you can use all of them to get on the PulseChain some way, somehow, right? But it's becoming evidently clear that somebody mentioned, putting on the pTGC website, just something to connect to one of the bridges that work. So if every project team that exists or developer could have some information listed somewhere as to how to get onto PulseChain first, like similar to what GoPulse does. They have a Buy Pulse page. You can select it and it shows you to do it via credit card. It sends you just the same to change now until we have better options. But it would help a lot to onboard people, because the first step is you need to get onto any EVM or for any ERC20 or PRC20 token you need to be able to onboard your cash into that network. And for all of us here that have some narrative that we had to share earlier, just when you're onboarding folks, try to find the most affordable route and the most affordable time to do it. And one of the things I've had to do was acquire Pulse. Even when I didn't need to get more Pulse, I try to acquire it now so that when I have an onboard, I can just help them to get on board. I've been doing it now since we had the PulseChain main chat room from 2021. We did Sacrifice. Right after Sacrifice is one of the things I've been doing, just helping people get on board, and I give them the Pulse. Because if I have to say to you, like, if you need $100 worth of Pulse and you got to go buy Ethereum, by the time you're finished with that transaction, you're getting about $45 worth.
There you go.
Of ETH, and then you got to bridge that over. It makes no sense. You're losing half your money. Like today, I heard somebody mention it too. Like the gas fees would bring the cost up to like $50-something per transaction. It was just a waste of time to onboard anybody doing that. It's cheaper to send through Western Union, to send somebody $100 through Western Union and lose $8 to $10 than to lose $54, $56 on Ethereum for a transaction.
Why can't we buy Pulse on Western Union?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know why we can't, but
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the nearest Western Union location and just start demanding it. The
Hey,
picket
man,
sign.
hey,
you know.
there's Cash App Bitcoin ATMs.
Yeah. And the other thing too is
PulseChain Western Union.
I wouldn't want PulseChain Western Union. I'll tell you why.
With a small fee. With the fee to Western Union, you can move paper assets to digital assets.
That's the issue that I have. The one thing
via paper currency.
The one thing I think PulseChain needs and every blockchain needs to solve this off-ramp problem, just bear with me for 30 seconds, guys. Similar to what MakerDAO did when they made their ecosystem for their tokens, right? We now need the foundations behind any blockchain, and we're talking about Pulse for now, to have something like a DAO set up where any
I thought we were talking about onboarding new users, period.
Onboarding, yeah, right.
If I could tell a waitress or a bartender to take their cash tips tonight and put them into PulseChain on their Cash App or their ATM, just like purchasing Bitcoin or Ethereum. Why can we not somehow figure out how to market it better to the online institutions that transfer money that are not necessarily centralized banks? I know Cash App is one bank. Like I know Sutton Bank is backs Cash App and backs PayPal and whatever. But if we can figure out a way that
listen, the problem is not that we can't do it. The problem is policy that allows that technology to become a feature. Cash App, Wise, all these transfer platforms could be their own banks, right? Why did they choose to do the service that they offer? Because they focus on solving the end of the pipeline issue for currency transactions, right? In cryptocurrency, it's just one currency and another. Just like gold is a form of currency, cash is a form of currency, Bitcoin or crypto assets is a form of currency.
But it still has the same value regardless. It still has the same value.
But it has the same value to us, not to them, and that's the only issue. It's a policy issue. It's not a value problem. The issue is not value. The issue is a policy issue. It's not that it doesn't have value. It has value to everybody that holds it. We know that. They know that. They just don't trust that the volume of business that they'll get from it is something that's favorable based off a policy standpoint right now. That's just the issue. Anywhere in the world, the new frontier of cryptocurrency asset holding is geopolitical restriction, right? So you will find yourself wondering, why can't we do this? Because it's not you, it's a policy issue. There's nothing that you can't transfer in the world cash-wise. You can have Cash App, I have Cash App. The transaction is done in 5 seconds. In Cash App, can I select Pulse from the drop-down menu? And on the back end,
but you can select Bitcoin.
Yeah, you can select Bitcoin because Bitcoin is legal tender. Pulse is not legal tender as yet. It's a policy issue. It's not a matter of it can't be done. It's just a policy issue. Is Pulse a legal tender right now? Is Hex legal tender? No. That's just it.
How can we make moves as a community to move towards that being legal tender?
No, we are doing that. We are working in the right direction. We launched. We've had 100% uptime. We've had hardships. Most of us survived the storms so far. In the uptimes, when everything is running fine, we're onboarding people. In the downtimes, we onboard people at a much slower rate. But then we also launch new projects that are being built on top of a 100% uptime blockchain. That's how you make inroads. Bitcoin didn't start out having all the features, I can tell you. When it started out years ago, it was only crooks who bought Bitcoin, and you paid for a pizza, and you laughed about it. But now,
that's why I don't get into Bitcoin.
Because
I can't support Bitcoin because of what you just said.
Why?
It was a bunch of crooks, and I don't know.
That means that narrative. Hold on. Let me hear something that's funny about narrative, right?
Weed in Humboldt County, California.
Yeah, but all of that is great. But if you go back to the principle of it, right? When that was being said, the people saying that were not holders, and they were not miners. They were not producing nor holding. It was stated like that because they were using this thing as currency in a digital environment to facilitate transactions over the deep web.
That's 100% true. That's 100% true.
Right? So the funny thing about that is because of who was using it at the time, it was only for robbers. Now we got people like Michael Saylor telling you that Bitcoin is a great buy to $2 million. And everybody is institutionally ready and drinking the Kool-Aid. Not because Michael Saylor is a stupid idiot, or he is or not, but because now it's more comfortable to hold the thing that only the crooks used. It's the same thing with PulseChain. We've been told that Richard Hart is a scammer. Now he's got he launched a token, or he launched an entire blockchain. Look at all these freaking idiots supporting him. That's the narrative now. Why would you want to replace Ethereum when you've got Ethereum that works perfectly fine?
Time out. All right. I'm kind of getting tired of this conversation because it's really because the US dollar is the shit coin, the euro is a shit coin. All those things are shit coins at the end of the day because of the inflation rate and because of the Federal Reserve and centralized ownership. And society's already established a relationship to the overall consensus of the crypto markets. And basically, for those people that we are should be onboarding, first off, to send them my way. I'll hold their hand very nicely and gently and get them onboarded. And the most cheapest environment.
Yo, what about a cryptocurrency on the BRICS currency?
It's going to happen.
Or
Hey,
what? How about this?
Hey guys.
Hold on. We got to focus though. We got to focus.
Just for everyone's time, if we could just bring this back to pTGC and UFO, I would appreciate it. I do appreciate the deep, helping onboard people conversation, but I think at this point it's like veering pretty far off that topic.
All right, let me try to steer it back. Let me apologize to everybody for bringing it too far too. The reason why I was mentioning those stuff is because of pTGC and UFO. Why I mentioned onboarding and finding a better route is because to get to pTGC and UFO, you need to be routed into PulseChain as effectively and as affordably as you possibly can. You have more now to acquire whatever you need if you're going to come in with stables or with Pulse, or you're going to bridge in whichever version of Ethereum that exists out there, right? So that's what I was really saying. Sorry to veer it off too far. Now, to finish the point, because we're taking up airspace for everybody. As I said earlier, if we could, as a community of community managers and developers and builders, find some unified way, even if it's just to go copy what Go posted, put it on your website somewhere that says this is a possible route to get onboarded into pTGC by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. That's all.
Yeah, so we pretty much have that, but you're 100% right. What our current situation is that route that we have is the Ethereum way, and obviously that's quite pricey. So I 100% get what you're saying. We need to probably give an alternate route. I don't think we need to completely get rid of that route in general, but we should give a cheaper alternate route that also works. I'm hoping some easier routes start appearing here in the near future. That would be amazing for not only like our onboards to pTGC and UFO, but the adoption of PulseChain as well.
Yeah, I'll just add to that all of the pre-existing EVMs that are out there can be pretty much bridged into PulseChain. So just as you have the Ethereum route, probably it's just to put a selection of whichever familiar token, like it could be BNB, it could be Polygon. But we just need to make it feel a little bit more inclusive or easier to get onto the chain via the previous options. Because there are people who hold BNB, there are people who hold Polygon, there are people who hold these things that could just simply find a bridge and bridge over that's cheaper than Ethereum. That's option one, right? That solves the Ethereum problem, because I onboard mostly too using the Ethereum route, but it's really costly. Today, I onboarded nobody using the Ethereum network simply because those fees were, last week we had like $20-something, $30-something. But if that continues, you're gonna have $200 days when you're trying to onboard or on-ramp or off-ramp. That's gonna cost you $200 to do that on a simple transaction. It's too much of an expense to start something. that it doesn't get you anywhere after you do it. You're still at ground zero. You're still on the layer zero application. So if you guys could take that approach, it would be fantastic, because we're still onboarding. It's just the easier route. You could just list them there as options from Ethereum or Binance or Polygon. That's all.
We have a comment on YouTube. This gentleman says, I recently onboarded my brother with the help of Alchemy Pay. You can buy Pulse with a credit card. It's easier way. It's an easier way to get Pulse for him. Then we have a question. Is it true that since both assets in the Pulse X UFO LP are deflationary, and that's true, that no matter the impermanent loss, you would end up having a guaranteed larger slice of either pie? You care to answer that, Zen? I've seen that batted around in the Telegram a little bit in the last couple of days.
Are they saying if you add to the pTGC UFO LP pool, either one you end up with, you're going to be ending up with a deflationary token?
No, the UFO PulseX pool.
Oh, the UFO PulseX pool. Yeah, but that doesn't mean impermanent loss isn't a thing, right? Like, you're still going to be ending up with the pair that is doing worse. You're going to be ending up with the pair that the users don't want, and they obviously want the other side of the pair that you're acquiring. So even though you're receiving two deflationary tokens, which is a good metric to have built into a token, because the lack of supply obviously usually turns out to be the increase in price, but that doesn't mean you're not getting the one that is performing less good at the current moment. That doesn't mean it could change. The next week it could be different, and you could end up with no impermanent loss and just some good yield. You know what I mean? But I would say it's a fair pool to get into compared to others. Currently I think the pool that's been the most non-impermanent loss is the PDI pool, which technically isn't deflationary. It actually technically could mint if people put collateral into the vault and mint more PDI. So I don't even think that's like a fair analogy of just because they're deflationary tokens means that you're getting a bigger piece of a less supply. Technically, yes, but that doesn't mean it's going to go up in value. You know what I mean? At the same rate, you'll still get impermanent loss any LP pool you go into. And that's kind of why I think everyone should pay attention. Like, a lot of people are so quick to LP and they don't take it as seriously as it is. Like, you could have a really golden gem. You could have the golden goose of all golden gooses. You put that thing 100% into LP. Like, I'm going to earn yield on this thing at the same time. And if that thing starts running and the thing you paired it with doesn't run at all, you're going to get exited out of your position really quick.
That's true. That's
really
very true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you will minimize your X's greatly, and it will keep running, and you'll keep exiting. And by the time that golden goose becomes the golden goose that you knew it was, you wouldn't have much left at the end. So I think people should really look at their bags and say, if this is something I see tons of value in and I don't want to lose it, LPing is probably not the best thing for me.
Yep.
Especially if you're in it for the X's. If you're in it for the yield, then that makes sense. If you really don't care which asset you're getting at the end of it, you're completely happy and can swallow the pill of both, then there is good options. There's good options because it's a way to exit without sells on the chart. It's a good way to enter without buys on the chart, like DCAing in and out. There's a lot of positive reasons. A lot of big players do it as well because they hold a decent portion of the supply of an ecosystem. They don't want to hurt the ecosystem, but they want to earn value on their value. You will see a wealthy person who, let's say, has a ton of money. Well, he's not going to just put that money under the couch, right? That's kind of just wallet money or value just sitting in your crypto wallet. It's just sitting there. Most of the time, it's not earning you anything. Our ecosystem does earn you something when it just sits in your wallet. It's an outlier, but 99% of tokens, there is no way to earn yield on your tokens by them just sitting in your wallet. So what they're trying to do is find a way to put that value to work for them. And there is a risk to that. And even in the real world, when you put that value to work for you, there's a risk that whatever
investment you went after or any business venture you went out to was a flop or the markets go down, but in the long term, usually they work themselves out. You made some APY in the process, or the business venture works out and you're making money on that money. Now you put that money to work. So you just see a lot of small players playing that same game, and it's, in my opinion, not really the best play for small players, especially if it's a token you think is going to do really, really well. It's just something to think about.
You definitely want to have those points in mind when you're making transactions. Sometimes it's not wise to make important decisions at night. Wait until the morning, sleep on things, right?
I think some people want to do something like with crypto. They like wake up every day and they're like, I need to make a move, right?
Yes.
And if that move's like swapping this for that, or looking to make another buy, even though there's no good ecosystem to even look at and get into at that exact day, or you're looking for a brand new project, but most of the time, 99% of the stuff that launches is going to go to zero at the end of the day. This is all of crypto. This isn't, just this ecosystem in general. Most of everything goes to zero or near zero. They go up and then come down forever. They just want to do something, though.
Exactly.
But the honest truth is, a lot of times, like once you find a golden goose, you're better off doing nothing with it and just holding it for a long period of time. It's kind of like you look at someone who found Bitcoin 10 years ago. What was the best thing they could have done? Not touched it. And this is, for the most part, implies for the needle in the haystacks. Once you find those needle in the haystacks, you're best off not touching them.
Yeah. I was having this conversation just yesterday with a buddy of mine, and he is the first one that actually gave me this idea that you're talking about. We want to do something. And I likened it to my UFO. If I was just holding my UFO in my wallet, that'd be great. I'd be halfway happy with that. But I'm LPing a portion of it because there's something in me that likes to interact with the contract and do something with my crypto. And I liken it to something that's in all of us, and that we almost intuitively feel like we need to do something to earn our gains. So, and I totally get where
people feel like they're like earning their wage, right? Like they're so used to going to work every day. They're like, I need to do something today to work on my portfolio. And it's just not the case.
It's really not.
Yeah. And I know, like with UFO, our two tokens are super unique examples. So I don't even like using them for the comparison, but I'll use this example because I know that you got into the UFO LPs somewhat early. So there was an idea there that made sense, right? You knew you were locking in UFO share rates in a very, very early stage of the ecosystem, which did have some value to it. But in a normal crypto scenario, they're not locking in a UFO share rate in the early days. They're usually not even early. They're just trying to do something with their economic energy. And the more you do something, it actually slowly starts to like disappear. It's very unlikely that someone actually knows what they're doing and they're actually making good moves. RH is one of my biggest teachers of this. Is like, it's more about just finding the right product and holding that product for a long time. It's not about trading. Like most traders lose. You're competing. You're playing a game that is hedged against you, to where once you find a good product and you just hold it, you're now playing a game that's actually hedged in your favor. The product is now working for your financial bag forever. It's helping you. But a trader is playing a player versus player game. And I'll be honest, most players playing that game are not as good as to the people they're losing to. Right. They like to believe they are, but they're not.
Yeah. And I'll confess it. I made some mistakes early on in UFO. They're set in stone, just gonna make the best of it. And then when you are, whenever we're interacting with a contract, there's risk there. Not with the contract, but with a wallet, you know, you're using a computer, anytime you can just leave your crypto and not touch it, that is the best scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you're just leaving it there and it's actually earning you APY, it's going up in value. That's a positive. We like that. You're earning additional tokens just for holding the token itself. So you don't actually need to be touching those tokens for them to be working for you.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I think a lot of people in crypto are trying to set themselves financially free. Not so they can stare at charts and slave away behind their computer trying to make trades all day. I think it's because they want to spend time with I hope, I'm going to use the word I hope they're trying to become financially free so they can spend time with their family and hang with their kids during the day and really now trade their value for value. So they have their value work for more value for them. So then they don't need to trade their time for value anymore. Like that's a lot of the reason why I'm in crypto and into ecosystems and, you know, having my value work for me is I have successful businesses in the outside world. I actually work 60 hours a week or more to these businesses, creating them successful. My goal with crypto is to hopefully eventually not even need to worry about going to that job and feeding my family with it. And then I get to see my son grow up and hang out with my family and actually be there on Saturdays for games and pick them up from school if I want to. The stuff that life is really about, enjoying it, not just going to work every single day. And that's what's beautiful about the crypto space is you can actually turn a small or decent amount of money into a lot more. And once you have that a lot more, and you're in an ecosystem that's actually putting that value to work for you and for the entire ecosystem, like pTGC and UFO, it can actually change your life, and not only your life, but the whole community's life at the same time.
Yep. I saw Mikey had his hand raised.
Hi there again. Just a quick question regarding the UFO share rate, because it's something I haven't done yet. So I've got my share rate locked in and I've had for a long time. And I know that, well, my question is, when the time comes and I want to take a bit of profit, if I was to say take 10% of my pool, remove 10%, say, would I lose the whole share rate and would I go back down? I'm thinking about the amount of permanent loss I've got.
You would lose 10% of your shares, so you wouldn't lose your whole share rate.
Right.
But you will have impermanent loss, that's for sure.
Well, I know I've got huge impermanent loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was worried about. Would my share rate go right down to my impermanent loss size?
No, it wouldn't. It would just be taking the portion of your UFO shares that you're taking out. So it won't ruin your UFO share rate. It would, like, for an example, if you pulled out 10%, because like for anyone listening who doesn't understand how the UFO shares work, is when you enter the LP pool via our smart contract, the amount of UFO you enter that LP pool with is your UFO shares. And that's UFO shares are how you're earning the PLS rewards. The more UFO shares you have in the pool, the more percentage of the rewards you're going to receive. Well, naturally, let's say UFO goes up in price. Well, in your LP pool itself, you're going to start ending up with less UFO tokens. So let's say Mikey had 1 million of them, and then 2 months in, he actually only has 100,000 of them left because of impermanent loss. People bought those UFO tokens out of his portion of the pool. But how the UFO tokens work, or the UFO shares work, is he still has those 1 million UFO shares. No one took his UFO shares from him, and he has these UFO shares forever. So if he did want to close his LP pool down, let's say it was 10%, well, he would be taking 10% of his UFO out, and then also the other side,
he'd also be taking 10% of his UFO shares out as well. It wouldn't readjust his UFO share rate unless he closed it down completely and then re-entered it with all that same amount of value. Let's say he randomly decided to close it down for who knows why, and then he reopened it with the exact same amount of value. He didn't change the value at all. But because he now entered it with 100,000 UFO instead of 1 million like he did back in the day, he now has a 10 times less good UFO share rate, even though it was the same amount of value the whole time.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Zen.
Yeah.
Put my mind at rest. Thank you.
And that's kind of why the UFO shares are so valuable is, for an example, Prairie, if he locked in a UFO share rate in the early days, and let's say UFO is up 20 times from there, well, now to get those same UFO shares, it's not only going to cost him 20 times more value, like if he wanted to double his UFO shares, let's say, he'd have to spend 20 times the amount of value, not only on the UFO tokens itself, but on the other side of the pair as well. So he'd have to buy 20 times the amount of PLS or HEX.
Yeah.
And this also goes from right now. Like, you know, we're talking about 6 months ago, great UFO share rates. We could be looking at today like it's great UFO share rates as well. We could go 6 months into the future and people looking at the people who are LPing and getting share rates right now as these being the next discount, because it could be 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x, even possibly 100x from here as well too. And that's why we believe the people locking in their share rates now will ultimately probably make the decision to keep their UFO share rates because they're incentivized to stay within the system. If they do leave, they're now giving up those share rates to the system, which is good for new people coming in because you don't have these I guess, OG people that have been around since the beginning, holding on to these UFO share rates. But I don't believe they're going to give them up too easily because they're going to be really hard to get.
So basically that UFO share rate is a matter of how much UFO you have and how much of the other token you have at any given point in their value.
It's when you created it. Yeah, it's when you created it. Because naturally, like, for your portion or your position, Banana, I'm speaking just because I know what UFO did. When you created that UFO LP pool, let's say it was with PLS, just for this example. Well, UFO went up like 20x from there, and PLS went up 3x. So what you ended up with was more PLS and less UFO.
Right.
And let's say that LP pool today is currently worth $20,000 for example purposes.
Yep.
Well, if someone came in and they're like, oh, I want to have a $20,000 LP pool just like Banana, you know, I bought $10,000 of UFO and I bought $10,000 of PLS. And then they went into the system and they provided that LP via the smart contract as well. Well, they still would have only been receiving 10 times less UFO share rates than you have, even though you guys are putting up the same value in LP today.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I got to timestamp that.
Yeah, and I study these contracts. I see people closing LPs all the time.
That's crazy,
right?
That's really foolish.
Well, it's not crazy.
I mean,
you know, people have numbers that they're looking to hit.
Yeah, sure.
They're like, this was the number that I was wanting to hit. Like, I'm happy, and I'm going to close this down now. But the thing is, you're now giving up that UFO share rate at that rate. That was the number you're looking for. Some people will not be willing to give it up because that UFO share rate is what's, you know, giving them the PLS, etc.
Right. Yeah, the UFO share rate concept has eluded me. Shock has been pretty good at explaining it, but I just know you lock it in early. All I know is as long as I don't understand, I'm just going to hold it.
Yeah. Yeah, if UFO keeps outperforming, you will be ending up with less UFO. So you will have extreme impermanent loss if we keep outperforming.
I've already experienced that.
Yeah, and this happens with LP providing. This is kind of the weary of LP providing. But if you were getting into it for the UFO shares, you're sitting pretty good because you locked in a good UFO share rate, and now you have those UFO share rates, and it's really, really difficult for someone to get those same UFO share rates as you.
Beautiful. Yeah, that was a good explanation. I know Vets is in the YouTube, and he's been asking questions about UFO share rate. So I think you answered his question. I think we blew his mind. So
yeah, and it can go the opposite way. Like, let's say there was a sell-off on UFO, and UFO got cheaper. Let's say it went down, 70%. Well, now you're getting a 70% discount on the UFO side of the share rates and also the PLS side. And PLS might have not even gone down. But the truth is you just need 70% less value to get those UFO share rates because you need both sides. If UFO is decreased 70%, now you need 70% less of the other side, making it cheaper for you to lock in those UFO share rates. Right. So then it's kind of like there's discounts, but those discounts you're like, oh, well, this is kind of a good deal on UFO share rates, which obviously drives up the value of UFO because this is basic supply and demands. You know what I mean? As more come into the market, prices go down, which then actually amplifies demand because people are like, ooh, there's a sale on this. This is why you put a product on sale when you want it to get sold off the shelf. You're like, ooh, new products are coming in. We need to put a 20% on discount on this because it's going to push demand up because people want to take action on this discount now. When you have lack of supply and you don't want it to keep running up off the shelf, you can't produce enough, you need to keep raising that price until it prices people out to where they just move on to the next product, decreasing demand, but increasing the profit you're making on the item. Nice thing about our system is the bots don't care, and they actually become more active while price keeps going up. They now just need to spend more money to get the product. They're not going to stop. As long as the threshold is there, they're going to keep buying. So demand actually keeps increasing. And this is one thing I don't think that's ever actually played out in. I can't think of because I like to relate what we're doing here to real life scenarios, to real like goods and services, finance. This has been around for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And I usually can relate certain ideas to stuff that's happened in the past. Like, for an example, supply and demand charts. Like this supply and demand chart has been around forever. Like everyone relates products and product sales to this, but I can't think of a product that actually just becomes like that has more demand and more demand as the prices just keep getting higher and higher and higher and higher. You know what I mean? It just nothing works like this. In the store when, there's not a lot of strawberries grown that season, they raise the price because they don't have strawberries. So then you're like, bananas, like, yes, honey, we're going to get blueberries. The strawberries are way too much. Like I'm not spending that much on berries. But in the system, it just doesn't stop. It doesn't care how high priced they are. It's going to buy it either way. And which in turn buys and burns and adds LP and then the snowball just keeps going and going and going because they don't care how high it goes. They actually want it more the higher it goes because by more, they have to spend more money to move the LP's positions.
Right on.
Can you also explain how adding to the existing old pool affect the share?
Yeah, so you're not really going to affect your current shares you have until you exit. So if you're thinking about never exiting, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because you're just more creating an average. Like if you had a really good UFO share rate and then a not so good UFO share rate, technically you would just be getting the average of the two. But which is fine. But the bad thing is when you actually go to exit it, it's not going to exit your not so good UFO share rate first.
Right.
It doesn't know. So it's going to exit you as the average as well. So you would be partially pulling your really good UFO share rate. Sorry, guys. 1 second. You're okay, Berlin. You would be partially exiting your really good UFO share rate. So I always suggest if you are thinking about adding to a UFO LP, possibly think about adding to a different LP pool, because it's not going to get locked in. Your UFO shares will not be within the same pool, so it won't get mixed. Or do it in a completely separate wallet. So then when you do, if you do want to take profits from closing that LP pool down, you can actually pull from the wallet or the pool that has the least good UFO share rate, and you don't have to affect your good UFO shares.
Okay, so basically it averages out as you keep adding the original share. It kind of loses its value, right? Towards the most recent one.
Value. It doesn't lose its value. You're just averaging out your enter, right? Just like if you DCA'd into a token and they asked you what your average price purchase was, right? You couldn't say, oh yeah, I got in at 3 cents, when you didn't only get in at 3 cents, you got in at 3 cents, 5 cents, 7 cents, 10 cents. You would usually tell them like, oh yeah, my average I got in was at that 7 cents range, right?
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, thanks.
If anyone has any additional questions, I would say right now is the best time to shoot them. If not, I'm going to be closing it down since we're getting on 2 hours now.
And we will be doing an AMA and Ask Us Anything on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern on my channel. And again on Sunday, that's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern. And we'll just jump on a stream like this and we'll walk through the D apps and some of the tools that we have at our disposal and answer any questions. It's going to be mainly geared for new people coming in. You know, how do I stake? How do I lock? You know, just
yeah. So just to confirm, Banana, those AMAs that you're doing, those are going to be specific to educating people that are new and help, like literally walking them through parts of the DApp. Like you will show them live, like how to stake, how to lock, where the LP
Correct.
is. Like you're walking them through pretty much all the details of the system.
Yes. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really valuable. You know, as we go into this bull market, I think a lot of new people will be coming over to PulseChain, and some of these people will be experienced in DeFi, and some of them will have no idea. And that's really cool of you to step up and try to guide them in the right direction, because a lot of people will just land here and make mistakes and get discouraged.
Sure. Yep. A lot of times the spaces they seem to be pretty high level. So we'll just try to make it a little more vanilla for the new people that might need some help acclimating.
Yeah, I think that would be really useful, especially once PulseChain starts picking up and new users start flooding into here. If those new users are coming after tokens like pTGC or UFO, or if they're just coming after, RH tickers now moving up and them just trying to trade. Doesn't matter.
Yes. Yep. We want people to hit the deck running, right? So they can bring their friends over and help them get acclimated and settled in our ecosystem also. And once they get their bags packed pTGC and UFO, then they can go explore the rest of the blockchain. I mean, assuming people coming in are fresh and new and perhaps don't know what to hold over here on PulseChain. Well, you start with pTGC and UFO because they're basically the index tokens of the network. They're paired with all the blue chip tokens and all the RH tickers on the network. And as those tickers go up, they're just going to drag us up. And actually, we've seen an incredible history of that happening over time. So you start here, and then you can branch out and look into other parts of the network.
Yeah, and not to mention that UFO alone has almost $30 million of LP with those tickers, and pTGC has roughly 15 million. So the connection is, the more liquidity you have, the more real that connection is. And, the pTGC and UFO connections are one of the biggest on chain, which is unique. I'm going to let B App, I don't see the rest of your name, speak in a second if you have a question right before we close it down. Real quick, before I close it down, I am going to start doing VCs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Tuesday, it's at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you do have any questions about pTGC and UFO and you just don't like asking the questions in these public spaces, that will be a private, non-recorded space if you're looking to ask those questions in a more private setting.
Yeah.
And that's tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So if you'd like to talk, jump on the voice chats. If you just like to type, jump on the stream. It kind of works that way, Everybody has their favorite ways of asking their questions.
Can we drop the link for the Telegram somewhere?
I dropped it in the YouTube. I don't know how to drop anything in the space. But it's t.me. I mean, I can tell you what it is. Give me a second. I think it's still on my clipboard. It's if you just type in t.me/pulse/TGC, it should pull it up. It does for me. t.me/pulse/TGC.
I'm going to drop this page if anyone needs it and would rather the link. So, B App, while you're speaking, I'm going to grab that link and drop it in the comments.
I just tweeted it too.
Hey, yo, how y'all doing this evening and stuff? I just got a few questions. If you're someone that's new that's coming into the pTGC ecosystem, what would be, you have a little gunpowder on the side, what would be the best tokens to start investing to compound and build, you a little bag in the ecosystem moving forward? Because, this is one of the first ecosystems that, I saw on PulseChain that had the opportunity of really, you're building and compounding a bag moving forward and stuff. And it's tried and true. So I have confidence in it. It's not like some of these projects where people put stuff out on PulseChain and then 2 or 3 weeks later they rug it, So I feel confident that, this is something that's going to last for the time moving forward.
Yeah, and that's exactly true. Most stuff that does come out disappears in 3 weeks. It's just the nature of crypto. So the only 2 tokens that are the main tokens of the ecosystem, there are amplifiers, but the main tokens that we talk about that are created for users to participate in are pTGC and UFO. They both have large liquidity webs. They are both similar in many ways, but they also are very different in many ways as well. If you don't have an idea of which one you're more interested in due to your specific likes in crypto, by just holding either of them, you earn APY in the native token that we're talking about. So when you hold UFO, you earn more UFO just for holding. When you hold pTGC, you earn more pTGC just for holding. They each have a little bit of a twist.
PTGC has single-sided staking built into it. So kind of like the idea that was going to be built into PulseX at launch, which it could still be coming, but it's not here yet. A lot of the design of PTGC was based on the design of PulseX itself, where it was deflationary and had single-sided built into it. Sadly, PulseX never had that single-sided staking feature brought out. PTGC's had it since its launch. So you can actually stake your PTGC in the smart contract built on PTGC and earn additional APY. All the tokens remain in your wallet even when you're staking, so you don't have to worry about your tokens landing in some smart contract somewhere that eventually gets hacked by users. You keep self-custody, which is a very unique feature to our ecosystem. With UFO, it's got a farm built on top of it. So if you're someone who is interested in LPing and stuff like that, and that's some people are very into LPing in this space, you can actually LP your UFO tokens with RH tokens that you might already have or you might have to buy, and you can earn PLS rewards on top of that. When you are in UFO, there is a lot of people who are already doing this, and we believe they probably will continue to come. Those users are actually working for the users who are just holding. So a lot of people go into UFO just knowing that there's all these people farming with their UFO and RH tickers, and then you as a holder are actually getting a piece of all the economic energy that they're putting out there into the ecosystem with the mechanism and bringing that value back to us as holders. Mm-hmm. Two pretty complex systems, very similar in ways, but very different in other ways.
But UFO doesn't have like an independent farmer. All the farming is off of PulseX farming.
Say that one more time.
All the farming is done on PulseX for the UFO and any tokens you pair with it?
Yeah, so the UFO farm is actually built on top of PulseX. So when you use the UFO farm, in a way, you are literally just using the PulseX LP pools. It just interacts with our smart contract when you're entering them, and it gives you this thing called UFO shares. And those shares are how you're earning the additional PLS rewards. So in like a standard farm, it usually comes from an inflationary token. The PulseX farms, for example, you get paid in ink token. With our farms, you get paid in Pulse PLS. And the way we're able to pay this PLS out is due to our web mechanic. Our web mechanic has a fee when bots or humans interact with our token. So as the market moves up and down, as there's volatility and volume, market makers have to move tokens throughout our pairs, and then we charge these market makers a fee, and a portion of that fee goes to all the LP providers, which is the farming reward, the PLS.
Okay, well that helps out. That clarifies a lot of things. I thought the secondary coin on the PTG system was alien, and that's the coin that you just by holding you get like you get benefits, you get leaked. I mean you get
So PTGC and UFO have a few community built projects, which aren't by like me as the founder. There's communities and community members that have built support tokens or additional tokens to the ecosystem that you can do research on and see if those unique tokens fit your needs. It's just something that I don't have any affiliation with, if that makes sense. So I can't really touch base on them. Some are good, some have longevity, some will be here forever, some don't.
Yeah.
So, that's why I don't specifically talk about products that aren't from me, because I don't.
Okay, cool. No, that's perfect, because it clarifies a lot for me. So
yeah, and then even PTGC has its own amplifiers that was by my team, but they were mainly made to let arbitrage bots move in between them as an extra leg of our web for us to generate more activity for our system. Users do interact with them. People load up on these and speculate on them, but they're not the main core base of our ecosystem. So definitely the main place you should start is PTGC and UFO. These are the products that I'm behind, and these are the products that have 30 million, $15 million in liquidity backing them.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That answers a lot of questions.
Yeah, no problem. And that doesn't mean like anything bad about those other products. It's just me as like being at the spot I am, I can only speak about my products for the most part.
No, I really like pTGC because, like you mentioned earlier and stuff, you know, you can stake, but you get to hold your own tokens when you stake. And, you know, that is a stark difference from a lot of these places where they have something similar where you can stake or you farm and they're holding your LP tokens. And, you know, they could just walk away, you know. And
yeah, so one thing
access.
about UFO, I didn't mention this, is when you farm with UFO, the PLP tokens remain in your wallet. And this is unique to our system, and I don't even know of a farm on any other blockchain that figured out a way to where you actually keep self-custody of your PLP tokens when farming. But yeah, it's, you know, that's a feature I love about pTGC and UFO is the honest truth is like a lot of people want to stake and earn additional yield, but it's like picking up pennies in front of a freight train. You're now giving up the custody of your tokens to a smart contract. That smart contract can just get pulled by the creator of it. There could be backdoors. It could just ultimately get hacked. Like the creator of that contract could have all the best intentions, but when you put everyone's value in one spot, it like creates this super green light and a light on it where it's like, hey, scammers and hackers, like we have like 100 people's value all bundled up in one spot. If you get into this one smart contract, you now have 100 people's value. It's way better, and it just makes so much more sense for the value to remain with the user. This is why we're here, self-custody. So both the products that I build, it's a non-negotiable for me that you keep self-custody when either interacting with our farm or just single-sided staking with pTGC.
Yeah, but I mean, pTGC is tried and true. It's been around for a long, long time. So, you know, hey, man, I got 100% confidence, you know, and then you got people on the team that have been doxxed and everything. So, hey, if it's a project that they're presenting something like a staking mechanism or providing LP or farming, and you know the developers aren't doxxed, I tend to stray away. That's one of the things that I mark and say, oh, that's a big no, because you don't know who's behind it. You don't know what the intentions are. So, you know, I appreciate the community. I've seen y'all around. You've been on YouTube. You hold a lot of spaces on crypto Twitter and stuff. So, hey, you're legit as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I appreciate those kind words. And even if they're doxxed and, you know, all that, or even if I'm on Twitter, like, I think users should always pay attention to, like, trustless systems. Mm-hmm. Like, at the end of the day, these are just, you know, I'm just a random person on the internet. You don't even know what my face looks like. So what you have to pay attention to is, are my systems trustless? So you don't have to trust me. All you have to trust is the code you're interacting with. And that's one thing that RH put so deeply in my mind, is his systems are trustless systems where a user is just interacting with code. And that's one thing I try to build on top of, is that idea. So just for listeners to understand the big picture of like why this stuff is important, is you want to create trustless system where it's users interacting with code. And yeah, I'm a founder and a community member and someone who loves educating on the system, but at a certain point, that's all I am. And now it's just the code's out there for everyone to use. I do appreciate you coming up and saying those nice words.
No problem, brother.
All right. If no one else has any questions, I will be shutting it down. Pretty much maxes out my time. Banana, are you all good?
I'm good. I'm a happy camper.
Cool. Before I close it down, I just want to thank everyone who did come up here and speak. It makes it really enjoyable for me and Banana, and I think everyone listening when the community interacts with the conversation and asks the questions. That's ultimately why we hold these spaces to just answer questions and communicate with everyone and talk about some of the important things, not only here on PulseChain but pTGC and UFO. So thank you guys for coming up. If you didn't come up, no big deal. I appreciate you just listening and educating yourself. If you already are fully educated on the system, thank you for just supporting the system and helping with the algorithm or just filling your time with pTGC and UFO information. So thank you everyone who came and listened.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Zen, for joining me.
All right. See you guys.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody. All right, guys. It's nice of Elon Musk to ask me if we had any technical difficulties. We did, but weren't too bad. All right, guys. We'll see you on Wednesday or in Spaces again on Saturday. Have a good night. Bye.